Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Donovan, and tonight I want to talk about a couple of very budget-friendly offerings available right now. So the first one we're going to take a look at, we're going to do an unboxing and first look at the Umidigi 1 Max, and I'm also going to be using it with Mint Mobile, so I'll be testing it out over the next few months. I'll also be testing out the Umidigi F1 on Mint Mobile as well. So if you didn't hear it, during the Super Bowl, they announced that they're going to be offering 8 gigs of data per month for 3 months for $20. So basically you're getting 3 months for the price of one. So you can definitely check that out if you're interested at mintmobile.com. So this ends up being after taxes and fees. I think it's like 28 bucks. So pretty awesome deal. So I'll be using that SIM card with my Umidigi 1 Max, as you can see right here. And it's available right now on Amazon.com. I'll just go ahead and show you that real quick. And there it is, $180. So it's available in 2 different colors. So you can see the black carbon fiber look. I'll also be unboxing mine, which is the Twilight version of the phone. And one thing that is really awesome about Umidigi phones is all of the specs that they pack in for such a reasonable price. So let's go ahead and take a look at those real quick. So in terms of the processor, we have a MediaTek 6763. That's a octa-core processor. It's the Helio P23 that's clocked at 2.0 gigahertz. We have Android 8.1, and one thing I love about Umidigi phones is the fact that basically they're just running stock Android with no bloatware at all. 4 gigs of RAM, 128 gigs of storage, so that is pretty fantastic. And then you can also see that you can put in an SD card, so that's what a TF card is. You can put in a micro SD card to expand it if for some reason you need more than 128 gigs, or you can use 2 nano SIM cards, and they do actually both get 4G LTE, or you can use one SIM card and one SD card there. So we have a 4150 milliamp hour battery, and one thing that just is fantastic about this is not only does it fast charge, but this phone will also fast wireless charge as well. So really awesome. 6.3-inch display. Now this is maybe one of the slight negatives. We have a 19.9-inch display that's 720p, so a little bit lower resolution, but on the Umidigi A3 that I'm actually going to be sending out to the winner of this device, so this one's going to be sent out. That one also has a 720p display, so probably similar, but this one's a little bit larger than that one. So we'll see, we'll take a look at how that looks. We have a 12 megapixel and 5 megapixel camera on the rear, 16 megapixel camera on the front, so definitely a better camera than what you get on the A3 Pro that's only $100. This one just had an 8 megapixel camera on the front. And then in terms of your networks, basically this thing is covering everything, so it's going to work on T-Mobile, AT&T. It actually will work on Verizon as well for 4G LTE, and then any of the MVNOs like Mint Mobile. This happens to be a T-Mobile MVNO, so I already know I get really good T-Mobile service where I live, so yeah, I'm going to go ahead and use it on Mint Mobile. So I'm really excited to try that out and see how it works. So this is the phone itself. You can see I haven't really done much to it here. Actually, I've done nothing to it, except I did charge it up, and it does come with a screen protector, so obviously it comes with this one here. Tells you where to center the wireless charging to get the fastest wireless charging. Then it does come with already a built-in screen protector, as you can see right here. It has that teardrop display, which is really awesome, and it comes with a clear case, so I do actually really like that because the A3 Pro comes with a black case, so I really like that. Obviously that case is showing off this Twilight color here, so I'll go ahead and take that off because there is another piece of plastic there. And then we'll take a look around the phone. So just like the A3 Pro, this comes with what looks like, actually this one looks a little bit more flashy. This is almost looking like stainless steel. Now I'm not gonna, don't quote me on what that is, but it definitely has more of a stainless steel look. Now here's our fingerprint sensor and power button, so I'll go ahead and power it on while we're taking a look around the phone. We have our volume rocker here, so obviously real easy to distinguish the two because the power button here is recessed, but again that's also our fingerprint sensor because notice there's nothing here. There's our 12 and 5 megapixel camera with flash underneath. On the top, I don't really see, there's a microphone there, so nothing else. Obviously you can see that is already a fingerprint magnet. So here's our SIM tray, so I'll go ahead and show you that real quick. Go ahead and pull out my SIM removal tool from Mint Mobile somewhere in here. I believe it's in there. Yep, there it is. Alright, so you can see what their SIM card comes with and everything. So that's pretty exciting. So this is like just a fantastic like budget friendly option. So $179 phone with 3 months of service for 28 bucks plus the the phone. So yeah, we'll be testing that out in just a little bit. So here you can see you can either put in 2 SIM cards, or you can put in a SIM card and a micro SD. So we'll take a look at that in just a second. The phone is powering on right now, so while that's working, we'll go ahead and get that going. And thanks from Umidigi. So they always put these cards in, and then they also have a way to enter some giveaways in there as well. So that's cool if you want to check that out. In here, I'm sure we have our SIM removal tool there. Also our instruction booklet. We're not going to take a look at that. Then, like Umidigi always includes, they always include in the package a red cable, kind of like what you would get with a OnePlus device. So this is Type-C, of course. And then here is our fast charger. So very cool. And then again, this does also fast wireless charge as well. So let's go ahead and improve the location. I'm going to take out my Mint SIM card. Now I think, what's it say? It says to punch out the SIM, insert the SIM, activate the SIM. Now I know you have to download their app to actually activate it and everything, but we'll go ahead and punch that out. I'll get the phone set up and we'll come right back and take a look at what all this phone has to offer. Alright, so I got the phone all set up on my Mint Mobile SIMs. I want to go ahead and share with you just some quick first impressions. As you can see, I've only downloaded 3 apps up to this point and done just a few tweaks to it. So just bear that in mind. This is definitely not a full review by any means. I'm going to do a 48 hours later video here in a couple days. But let's just go ahead and share some quick first impressions. As far as the build quality goes, there's no question this phone definitely outperforms its price point, to be completely honest. So here is the power button and fingerprint sensor, so I want to go ahead and show you a quick look at that so you can see it works quite well. The location may not be the best for some people, but I personally don't mind it at all. It's been working for me quite well. It's nice that it has Type-C. We do have a headphone jack. We have a speaker down here at the bottom, and then also a speaker up here at the top. So it does have dual speakers, so that's pretty rare in a phone at this price point. And then the fact that it also has wireless charging is pretty awesome as well. I'm guessing that's probably why it doesn't have the fingerprint sensor back here, is because the wireless charging, I believe, is like right in here where you'd probably put a fingerprint sensor. So definitely a beautiful phone when it comes to the build quality. Alright, so now let's go ahead and talk about the performance of the Umidigi One Max, and you can see here the Geekbench 4 score. So we got a single core score of 795, multi-core score of 3,666. So you can definitely tell based off of those scores, this is a very mid-range processor, a Helio P23 processor with 4 gigs of RAM. It's not going to be the fastest phone out there. It's certainly not going to be as fast as something like my Google Pixel 3 XL. You can see obviously the multi-core score and the single core score with the Snapdragon 845 processor is obviously much higher, meaning this thing can run just about anything you throw at it. So if you throw in some high-end gaming, it's going to do just fine. Over here, if you're going to try to do some high-end gaming on this phone, like some PUBG or Fortnite, which I'm not sure you can even play on this one, but this only has a 720p display, so obviously you're not going to be running the highest graphics, whereas over here, obviously you have a 1440 display or 2K display. So yeah, definitely not going to be able to game quite as well as you would on a phone like this, but still every other task that you're going to do is going to be just fine. Even lower end gaming, if you're not doing anything too crazy, gaming on this phone will be just fine. So I'll probably do a separate video where I actually show you what it's like to game on this phone, and we'll go through a different, like a series of different games just to kind of show you what it's like for each one of those. But that'll be following up here in just a few days. But with that said, let's go ahead and talk about the software now. So software is an area where this phone definitely shines. It's running pretty much just stock Android 8.1 or Oreo. I'm going to go into the settings here. You can see there's really not a whole lot of added settings. A couple things you see here. We do have DuraSpeed, so that's used basically to kind of kill the apps in the background while you're playing games or doing something that requires a lot of RAM. It'll basically kill the background apps that are running in order to focus in on whatever game it is that you're playing. So DuraSpeed, and then also here in the advanced features we have the option for navigation keys. So notice that I don't have any software keys down here for back, home, and recent apps, and that's because they have swipe gestures built in here. So that's what those are. So you can use the virtual navigation bar, and so then you can see that that's there, or you can use the swipe up gestures, and that's actually what I prefer since I'm used to it with my Google Pixel 3 XL. So I prefer that. So The way I have it set up is the back on left one. So if I swipe from the middle, it's going to go ahead and go back home. Swipe from the left is a back option, which it did, but obviously at this point it's not going to do it. And then a swipe on the right hand side is going to go into my recent apps. So we'll take a look at speed test here in just a second. But in terms of software, this phone, yeah, is definitely just running stock Android almost 100%. I did actually have an update. It was basically just some bug fixes when I first got into it. But in terms of updates, I'm not sure that I would expect this phone to get Android 9. It's possible it might, but I certainly wouldn't expect it from Umidigi. Now, next thing I want to take a look at is the speed test. So if I compare that up to the speed test I did at the exact same time on my Google Pixel 3 XL, both using T-Mobile. This one was using Mint SIM, which is a T-Mobile MVNO, and then this one was using actual T-Mobile SIM cards. So you can see the difference here. So in terms of download speeds, obviously the Google Pixel 3 XL was getting much faster download speeds. Upload speeds, actually the Umidigi One Max got faster download speeds, or upload speeds. So I'm not really sure if that's because of Mint SIM versus T-Mobile. Again, they're running the same off the same towers. So that I'm not really sure about, or if it's more of like the actual hardware of the phone. I think actually in terms of download speeds, I expect that this one's going to get higher download speeds because almost every time I've had an Umidigi phone, they never get the same download speeds as what you would get with the higher end phones. So I typically get faster download speeds on something like my iPhone XS Max or my Google Pixel 3 XL. So still, that's plenty fast. Obviously, it's not going to be anywhere near what you get with like 5G, but certainly doable speeds. But software-wise, I definitely think this phone is very solid. Now, the next area I want to talk about is the cameras. Okay, so camera-wise, this phone, that is probably an area where I know this phone is just going to suffer. So let's go ahead and take a look. So you can see here we just have the option here of picture and video. If I go over here into settings, so right now I'm in video settings. So we have stereo, normal, and panorama. So notice there's no slow motion, there's no time lapse or anything like that. If I come over here into the settings, there is electronic image stabilization. Video quality, the best we're going to get is 1080p, of course. Let's see here. Anything else worth mentioning here? No, I don't think so. All right, so, and notice I'm using the swipe gestures to go back. Here we'll go into picture now. All right, so in terms of picture, we do have HDR, but when I go into my modes here, you can see I have normal, stereo, and panorama. So stereo, I believe, actually, if I go into it, I believe what that's going to do is it's actually going to use maybe both pictures. Yeah, so it's going to use the both cameras. So let's see how that works. So oftentimes with these Umidigi phones, it seems like they're really only using one camera, even though it says it's using two. So let's go ahead and take a look and see if that did any kind of like blurring out of the background. It's hard to tell with that picture. Let's try one more and see if it does it. My guess is that it won't, but let's just try it. I'm going to take a quick picture. You guys can't see it off camera here. So we're going to really change that depth of focus. All right, so I took a picture of my Yeti microphone here, so let's see. It did blur out the background. That wasn't terrible. So this might actually use both cameras. I'll go ahead and do a lot more testing with that. But you can see here you can slide it back and forth to change the aperture. So f16 is obviously going to basically not use any depth of field, where over here if you slide it all the way down to the 1, that's going to blur out the background completely. So that's the idea behind it. Now, as far as is it actually doing that, or is it kind of doing software? It looks like it did an okay job. You can definitely see some edges here. If I zoom way in, you can see that it didn't, clean that edge real well. But yeah, definitely do a lot more testing on the cameras once we get into it. But obviously you can see camera settings. There's not a whole lot there going on in terms of all the settings that you would get on a more expensive phone. So last thing I want to show you before we conclude this, and we'll talk about the battery here in just a second, but let's go ahead and take a listen to the speaker. So again, we have dual we have one front firing speaker, one bottom firing speaker down here, and let's go ahead and take a listen to them real quick. All right, so right off the bat, it's very easy to tell that these are very tinny speakers. Definitely no bass at all in the speakers, so certainly nothing like what you'd get with the Google Pixel 3 XL. That song on my Google Pixel 3 XL would have a little bit more bass than what you get here. So very tinny speakers. They're quite loud though. Obviously dual speakers. That's nice. That's a nice addition to it. But yeah, in terms of the actual like sound quality, not the top, not the best. Now in terms of battery life, obviously this phone having a 4150 milliamp hour battery. That is a nice size battery, so you should be able to get through a day with no problem. It does also support fast charging, so 18-watt fast charging through the Type-C, or it does also support fast wireless charging as well. So in terms of battery life, I wouldn't be concerned ever really about this phone because of those things. So with that being said, if you have any questions that you want answered in my 48-hour review, if there's any games you want me to try out when I do my gaming video for this phone, just let me know down in the comments section. I hope this video has been helpful for you. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.